All right,
And we are live.
2 1 2 1 2.
Let me see. Hold on. I see that I'm on
You.
mute. Wait.
We
Nah, we
good.
good.
All
All
right.
right.
And we're live. Welcome to
We
Northwest Austin
live.
Council.
Welcome.
We bring
We bring
y'all to the
y'all
west
to the west
side
side
from 6 to
from
8
6 to
p.m.
8 p.m. every Sunday,
where we
where
talk
we talk
about
about
what's going
what's
on in the
going on in the
community.
community.
Because you need
Because
to
you need to
know.
know.
And
We bring up a whole other host of topics
that
that
matter to
matter
the
to the
culture.
culture.
Speaking
Speaking
of
of
the
the culture,
culture,
we
definitely
definitely
want
want
to
to
get
get
into
into
that
that
today.
today.
We
We
definitely
definitely
got to
got to
start with
start with
politics.
politics. I mean,
Black
We
history.
can't get away
We
from
got
that.
Black history.
Black
Black History Month as well. We haven't talked about anything regarding Black
History
History Month, so we
got
got
to
to
celebrate
celebrate
ourselves.
ourselves.
At
At some point, we're gonna do away with Black History Month though, because we make Black history every day. Now, I do like the fact that we highlight it for this month, but it almost feels wrong in a sense because Black history is American history, and we've contributed more than any other race to this society in general. I don't care which one you want to put us up against. We've contributed the most. We've made this thing into the powerful machine that it is, and we still don't get our respect, us, and what we supposed to get in that regard. So one of these days.
I remember we used to have organized a bookkeeper, which was Miss Span's best friend, lady named Irma Ford. She actually started the SOS Smokehouse Sellers. And she was the first black woman out of Natchez, Mississippi to become a police patrolman. So one of our organizers back in the 90s was speaking to a white organizer that we had working for. And she said, isn't that, he said to her, white organizer, isn't that amazing that Miss Ford is she's made history. And he told her why. He told the white organizers. The white organizers diminished it and said, history is made every day. She just didn't understand this was something that didn't happen every day.
Mm-hmm.
This was something that happened hundreds of years. It took hundreds of years for that to happen, especially in Natchez, Mississippi. But she didn't see it that way. She just said, why are you glorifying Miss Ford? She's actually they used to call Miss Ford their shero. They used to call her shero, and they said because she made history when she was the first black woman out of Natchez, Mississippi to be a patrolman, a police officer. And others just didn't see it that way. They were just like history's made every day. In other words, one thing becomes canceled out by the other if there's something that's more astounding or more profound than the next.
Yeah.
But I don't see that because if you look at the things that go back thousands of years, there were things that are even to this day are just as profound as they were when they 2,000 years ago. And you can't just say, well, there's something greater than that. There's something greater than Jesus now. It's there may be something different, but what does that mean? You diminish one history from the other history? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, nah. We definitely can't be diminished. I wanted to just read off a quick list of some of the things that black people invented. I don't know if it would exist if we hadn't invented it, but we invented it. So we invented the folding cabinet bed. Black woman by the name of Sarah Good in 1885. The folding cabinet bed. I suppose that is what we refer to today as a what's the bed I got on my Murphy bed. Black woman made a Murphy bed. Potato chips, but y'all know that already.
And they call it Murphy. They name it after her.
Sarah Good.
Should have been a good bed.
Potato chips, gas masks, a protective mailbox, blood bank. Black woman by the name of Sarah Boone improved the ironing board. The home security system.
Wow.
The three light traffic light. That was Gary Morgan.
Right.
Refrigerated trucks. Automatic elevator doors. The color IBM PC monitor in gigahertz chip. Black Man, Mark Dean, the Super Soaker,
Yeah.
the Tissue Holder,
Wow.
Peanut Butter, Clothes Dryer, Automatic Gear Shift, Dustpan, Folding Chair, Golf Tees, Ice Cream Scooper, Lawnmower, Lawn Sprinkler, the Modern Toilet, the Mop,
Mm. Wow.
Reversible Baby Stroller.
Mm-hmm. Reverse, yeah, I know what that is.
Say, according to the Black Inventors Museum, all of these were created by Black inventors. Paper, chess, medicine, airplane propeller, a biscuit cutter, a coin changer, a rotary engine.
No, coin changer is.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when you used to get on the bus, and the guy would have a coin changer on him, and he would give him $1, and he'd give you your change. And
Yeah.
he got, nickel dime quarters.
Yeah.
And all stacked in there.
Ah.
The coin changer since the 80s. Come on.
Disposable syringe,
Right.
the horseshoe,
Right.
radiation detector,
Wow.
the automatic fishing reel,
Really.
the printing press.
Yeah.
Now we in election season, everybody got to use a printer in order to print up their material. Black person created the printing press.
Right.
Pressure cooker, window cleaner, the portable pencil sharpener,
Wow.
fire extinguisher,
Wow.
the heating furnace,
Wow.
cell phone, Henry Stamps,
Cell phone? Interesting.
said guitar, Robert Fleming,
Fleming.
gas burner,
bicycle frame, air conditioner unit.
Wow. A lot of
I say all that to say, listen, man, without black folks, the world wouldn't be the way it is right now. America would not be a powerhouse if we didn't sit there and invent everything that America uses to this day that we rarely get patents on and we rarely get paid off of.
Right.
We make Black history literally every day, but I understand having a month where we can talk about ourselves in the light in which we can teach people that we are the people that change the face of the world. I like that. But God damn it, man, listen, we need to celebrate ourselves every day. And again, that touches on the culture. So we're going to get to that culture aspect in a little bit. So if I really go ahead and get too far in there, I always start this thing off, ask Steve, what's going on, man?
Oh, yeah. Well, right now, what we have going on, we do have a fundraising event going on downstairs in the community room for automatic candidate C.B. Johnson, and it's a step-in event. So for those that feel like
Step in the name of love.
for sure, you don't have to work tomorrow. Come on out. We'll be here for another few hours, and get your step on, as they say. Come and get your step on. It's actually a fundraising event that he's holding. So for those that look for a different way, come down to the step event held by automatic candidate C.B. Johnson. All right.
Get your step on, Miss Jacobs. Get out that bed and get your step on, Miss Jacobs. What's up?
DeAndre, I'm not talking to you. You know that, though.
No, what I do?
That's what you didn't do.
Oh, I couldn't. Oh, yeah. I ain't see. Oh, yeah. You know, I had. I couldn't make that event. But because we actually, so we took the baby yesterday. We took her to see with her cousin to go painting. So blame my baby, not me. I did go stop by an event today for Brandon though. I tried to make up for it. So I did, man. I know y'all. I know we support Brandon. Trust me. I'm supporting Brandon all the way. In fact, he's doing really well. So it really segments into the political talk that I wanted to have because there's been a lot of polls going up very recently. Now, most of them consistently has Paul Vallis taking one of the spots for the runoff. And I don't know if we could really make headway with Paul Vallis, despite the fact that he has the FOP endorsement, and Ron DeSantis is actually coming here tomorrow to speak to police officers. And it's a closed door event. So only if you are an officer in the FOP, you can't even bring your spouse. So who knows what they're going to be talking about behind closed door. But regardless, he accepted that FOP endorsement. Now, he's also come out and said he don't believe that a city like Chicago has any business having any essentially conversations with a person like Ron DeSantis. And he also believes that the FOP shouldn't have brought him here. But regardless, he accepted that. His son also is in the news for shooting a black man in the back while fleeing. He was a part of a group of officers that actually shot a black man. So that, for whatever reason, that hasn't come up as much as it should have. But it also hasn't really deterred individuals from voting for him, because his platform is more conservative and right-wing. So he's the representation for the conservatives and right-wing individuals, especially those that's looking for quote-unquote law and order.
So this is DeSantis' son.
No, this is Paul Vallis' son.
Oh,
No, Paul Vallis' son was a part of a shooting of a black man. Let me figure out which state it was. Yeah, you heard about that?
no.
Yeah, see?
Yes. That was in Texas, yeah.
Texas, yeah. There you go. But that has yet, it didn't do anything to his numbers, though.
Really?
Didn't do anything to his numbers. And so by the polls that have come out recently, the suggestion is that Paul Vallis will be the representative now, but that he's, again, representing the right-wing / conservative vote. So they got their guy. That's their guy. Now, on the left-hand side, on the left wing, you know what I mean, the liberal side of things, you got Chewy, you got Lori, and you got Brandon Johnson. That brother, Brandon Johnson, is really starting to pick up steam towards the end. And this is what you want to do in terms of having momentum when you're going into the last final week or weeks of the campaign. You know what I mean? So right now, he actually neck and neck with Lori. The numbers have started to come out where Chewy is kind of like in the fourth spot, and Lori / Brandon is really vying for second, third, and essentially because they're in a dead heat, you can just say second. That's why Lori has started to shoot shots at Brandon. He's really taking the heat to him. Oh yeah, you know Miss Jacobs. You was there, Miss Jacobs. So Lori has really started to put but Lori said at a recent event that if you choose a vote that's not for Lori Lightfoot, you might as well be putting it in the hands of Vallis or Chewy. And if you're going to do that, you might as well stay home and not vote. That's what she said.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said that.
She coming hard, huh?
She said that. Now, I say this, though. This is why I want to talk about the culture. Because I'm going to be honest. If Paul Vallis gets into that position, listen, I love my black folks, but I do think a lot of us go vote for him. And I ain't saying we shouldn't. If you like him, you should vote for him. You vote for your interests. But I also feel some type of way about how we would respond to, because again, statistically, the numbers are showing that there wouldn't be enough support, whether it was Brandon or Lori, for either one of them to beat him. So that's going to be very interesting, because in some respects, I think that speaks to how we feel about ourselves. I don't know. I think sometimes black people are our own worst enemy, especially as it relates to what we think about ourselves and how we think about ourselves. I think that we would really, and that's kind of what Lori was saying. You know, of course, it's not her place to say it because she's the mayor, but she's basically saying, like, man, if it go down like that, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep a black person in the seat.
Right. Well, first of all, when you said right-wing and conservative, that's a big task to take on in a blue city, you know, in a democratic city versus a Republican city. I tend to think the majority of people, I don't have to think it, I know. The majority of people in the city of Chicago are Democrats.
Oh, for sure.
But when you look at the state tends to turn a little purple. You know, when you look at the city and the state combined. But to actually look at, I've never heard an election other than when Harold Washington ran against Bernie Epton, or Bernie Epton ran against Harold Washington back in the 80s, and they put Bernie Epton in place as a Republican to run against Democratic mayor. We had not had Republican mayors for 40 years or something, 50 years or more. So it's really odd to hear that. It's really hard to hear that.
Well, okay, so here's the deal, though. So the people with a more conservative right-wing ideology is going for him. He himself says he's a Democrat. But the Democratic Party, those progressives that are Lori, Chewy, and Brandon are saying you're not a Democrat. You're actually a Republican that's masked up like a Democrat so that you can come and run this city.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right. Well, we have to really look at what's happened over the last 20, 30 years with Paul Vallas. Now, I don't know if everybody recall, but Paul Vallas used to be the CEO of the Board of Education. Not the president, but the CEO. At the time, it was Gary Chico who was the president, and Vallas was the CEO. And his assistant happened to be Phil Jackson, which was a very well-known black man that had, what's this project called? The New Start Project. It was Phil Jackson's project before he passed. And, you know, Phil Jackson, now this is the crazy part. So you got Gary Chico, president of Board of Education. You got Paul Vallas, which was the CEO. And then you had Phil Jackson, which was the assistant to the CEO. And then the assistant to Phil Jackson was, what's the man name that was secretary of Arnie Doe. So think about that mix. That mix was a very, very strange mix because I actually had an opportunity with Mr. Phil Span to work with Paul Vallas and Phil Jackson in the late 90s over at Austin High School. Matter of fact, the person that probably could really affirm this would be Jolene. Jolene, that whole atrium, what do you call it? Arboretum, or what do you call it at the top of the school where they have the plants and stuff?
Yeah, that's
What's it called? Garden.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah, that came out of Northwest Austin Council. Me and Ms. Span sitting with Paul Vallas once a month. We met with him once a month at the end of the year to discuss. It was $1 million renovation, interior renovation, and some exterior for Austin High School back in 1999, 2000. And that took literally a year, 12 months to sit down with Paul Vallas and Phil Jackson back then. But, you know, for me to say that he's Republican, I definitely could see it. I could see it. But back then, it would have been a hard pill for me to swallow.
Hey y'all, so we got a couple guests in the studio. They don't want to be on the camera there tonight, so they gonna jump in. So if y'all hear people talking like that, they're in the background, and these individuals are actually visiting. We might be able to see y'all because this camera right here is playing. So they can actually see y'all here. Anyway, so. You know, they are visiting. They're not from Chicago. So if y'all want to just say your name or something like that, say your spot from.
I don't want to be on the camera because we did cameras since early this morning until about 10 minutes ago. So we are looking really rough. So
Come on, bro, let's work.
Yeah, I'm Tony. I'm from New Orleans. From New Orleans, Community Oversight Police, up there, learning about the struggle in Chicago, making a difference and supporting each other.
That's crazy. She got people all from New Orleans.
And my name is Loretta Van Hook. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am with the Quincy's Coalition for Justice for Jamar, and we are also fighting for community control police in Minneapolis, but came down to Chicago to help support the campaign here. And
Yes. Hey.
All right, okay. Sound like a plan. So you said New Orleans. Let's talk about Paul Vallis and New Orleans.
Right, first thing, we have the local people support us in our campaign for the district council. As we get this payment, and we're only got a few more days to vote, the ones that affect us the most, we know the mayor is important. We know the alderman is important, but this historic election, and we have district council, so it's so important. So we need our voters to get out and vote for us. When the district can tell us we're going to the team court county.
There you go.
Andre Batiste.
So as I was saying, I don't know if you can recall or remember, but Paul Vallis actually came to New Orleans to become superintendent over schools. And from my understanding, it became a big mess and a problem.
Yeah, I remember the name vaguely. I'm so glad I'm not been.
Yeah.
I might have, been in the schools myself back when I came around. I remember specifically when we did take the schools and stop them from getting public schools, made them all charter schools.
Right.
Charter school, yeah.
Experiments on the black population to see. And in New Orleans, the public schools, they're all black. All the white kids go to private schools.
Wow.
So, they experiment with these kids, and now, we have a massive issue with children not going to school, it's a lot of fluency, people aren't getting high grades, and all these people are making money off of it, but what is that for the kids? So
Right.
if he was supporting the charter schools,
Oh, he's the one that changed it all.
and I can't.
That's the whole point.
I'm signing you off for having him back.
Actually, he went and screwed it up in New Orleans, and he did the same thing in Philadelphia. But he left this a mess here also. But now he wants to come back at the top of the charts, and I don't understand what people don't understand. But we're about to have a big problem if he becomes that person. And this is like his second or third time running here, I think, for mayor. I think it is. Yeah.
Listen, I've been hearing people talking, and on my campus, and it's been a lot of black people saying they want to.
That's what I'm saying. I just.
When we
They don't-
campus, and I'm like, so many people are saying Dallas. I do not know if it's because we have confused our people and they don't know which way to go, and we divided the vote. But this where it's left us in a place where we are so undecided that we going to go with what's right. Why do we think the right is right? I do not know every condition.
That's the crazy part. I know a Greek guy, Dallas is Greek. I know a Greek guy that knows him and his father or something. And he said, man, they negative. He didn't.
But we don't know because we don't do our work. Sometimes we always look at white people, they want to say us, they heroes, and they gotta be white. Because I'm so confused. The black vote is divided. Who's who? Who's doing what? And the media will get us to think whatever they want us to think. The media has the power to do that because if we replay something, so
That's a fact, though.
You say it enough, it becomes the truth. You say it loud enough, it can make anybody.
Yeah. Facts.
So,
that's what the dictators used to do.
Yeah.
But that's why I was saying that, and that's what I'm getting at about the culture. The culture is sad, bro. This is a sad state of affairs for black culture because there is no collaboration between us. How do you have 7 individuals on this ballot that are black and can't none of y'all collaborate to figure out which one to get behind? That makes no sense. Like, we just did it to ourselves and we knew this was going to happen. And so the question is, which, again, statistically speaking, looking at the polls, Vallis is going to be there. We're going to have another person opposite him. That person is probably going to be black. Black people have already decided they're going to vote for Vallis. So then what?
But let's ask this question. Which black people? Are they young? Are they old? Is there a mix? Are they middle class blacks? Are they, lower class blacks? Is there a mix? Because
that's the question we should ask. Which black people or the why? We need to ask the why behind it. Why are you voting?
Yeah, that's
no, because you ask the why based on class, based on age. Because you just said we don't know that. We don't know that about Dallas. But older black people know that about Dallas. We know what the mess is 20 years ago, 25, 23 years ago, with all of this, situations like we have, what they call it, what's the program they have in Chicago? Where you direct, where you can go to any school.
The magnet schools?
No.
Selective enrollment?
Selective enrollment. That garbage. That screwed up the whole neighborhood. I'm telling you. That's why you have no support at Austin High School. That's why you have no support at Orr High School. You have no support at Weston, because the people in the community didn't send their kids to the community schools anymore. So now guess what? You got a band, but nobody comes to hear the band. You got a basketball team, but nobody comes to see the basketball team, because the parents live way on the other side of town. And why are they supporting the school? They just support their kid. We'll wait and see. But we understood that, how that ended.
Being a parent that sent my kids to a school outside the neighborhood, I wanted to send my kids young. So I went there and I tried to register them. You know how much I was met with so much negativity. So I left there crying, because as a single mother, young, I don't know, I'm just trying to get my kids in school. And they were, oh, you don't need this, you need this, and they gotta have this. And it was so much negativity that I was met with. I was like, you know what, they're not going. I went to school, then I found the kid. Charter school, not the best for like the neighborhood, but it was the best for my kid. And yes, you do want them to go to the neighborhood, but ultimately you have to do what's best for your kid. Now, what we have to do is ensure that these neighborhood schools have the right. When we go someplace and we like, oh, I don't like that place. A lot of times, me and DeAndre say it all the time. It's the staff. How are you met? How are you treated? I don't want to come in my neighborhood school, and I'm treated with someone and they give me attitude. And I don't know why. I'm just going to register my kid and they make it hard. Do you got this? And I'm going back and forth about, yeah, I got this. I got this. We need to make it where I went to the other school with a kid, sure, they can come. What do you got? Okay, yep, they can start tomorrow. That was not what I was met with. I wanted to put my kid in the neighborhood school. So my kids never went to a neighborhood school. I did. But every time I tried, I was met with
adversity.
Yes.
Well, you have to ask the question: if you were to take your kid to, let's say, Von Steuben or something, and you're from Austin area, would you still be met with the same adversity?
I don't know. Like, they're 2019 now, but when they were going to first grade, it was hard. It was really hard to get into the neighborhood schools and have positive and be received in a welcoming manner, with a positive environment. Not to say all, but the people who I was met with at every turn, this is how I was treated. So I ended up going to Catholic school, not because I'm Catholic, but because I wanted the environment where they could thrive in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes even the Catholic schools, they'll tell you, we ain't got no room for you.
Yeah, I mean, they were St. Andrews for a little bit, and it was good.
Yeah.
I wanted to go down, so I wouldn't have to do all the and everything, but
Right.
they not really good. They did not.
That's because they were trying to, mitigate
They made it
the
hard.
amount of people they were black, especially blacks, that they wanted in there.
Yeah, we have to do better with that, making it hard for one another.
But you do know a lot of the elitists sent their kids to Whitney Young.
Yes.
Michelle Obama went to Whitney Young. Matter of fact, it's the crazy thing. Michael Jordan sent his kids to Whitney Young. Now think about that. He had his kids in private school, but he ended up sending, I think it is his last son and his daughter, to Whitney Young. You know why? So that they could get in the public school league and they could shine. It would have nothing to do with getting a good education. It was about getting a better sports aptitude, because they were playing in Evanston, they were playing in Neck or wherever they were, it was like, yeah, I'm here, but this ain't the competition.
Right.
I need to be above, I need to be where the competition is at and look better. And that's what he did. He literally got an address in Chicago so he can get his kids in Whitney Young.
There was some celebrities did that. I think it was it for Las Vegas school where they falsified some documents in order to get their
Las Vegas is a pretty good school also.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, that was it wasn't celebrities. It was some elected officials. I think it was.
Was
Wasn't
it?
it?
I thought it was like an actress too, though.
That could have been.
Yeah, it was like an actress. Well, we have to go. These beautiful people we have a long drive, so.
So you guys drove all the way you drove from Minneapolis. You drove from Minneapolis?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I give up my regard to be out here because I think it's it's inspiring. It really is. People say it's historic, but it really is. It's not just something happening locally. It's something that everyone from across the nation is looking at.
Facts.
And so everyone, look up your city councilor, police councilor in these ballots. If you're in the Austin neighborhood, you gotta support each other green.
Yes.
You gotta show up.
Yes.
We're not-
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta show up.
Gotta show
Gotta
up.
show up. Let me say this. I'll never give up Mardi Gras because I'm from Mobile. We'll never give up Mardi Gras in Mobile. It ain't the same as New Orleans, but you know.
Tony, we making history, right?
You making this.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? I met it's a lady from Minnesota, at least from Minneapolis area. She's got a group, something called Sweet Potato Pie, something.
Oh yeah.
Kathy. You know
Yeah.
Kathy?
Well, there's a couple ladies.
Yeah. She's with
I,
Yeah.
there's
You
a
know what
couple
I'm talking
ladies. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I met her Friday on our Time Exchange Peace Brook meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know the whole gist of it, right?
Yeah, it was. I know. Like we heard a lot about sweet potato pies during the uprising. So.
Yeah. But the whole idea is what we, because she heard what I was saying about law enforcement, and she said, well, you know, Steve was right. Because I said, you know, people got to build relationships. And I've always said, you know, if you really want to build a relationship with a person, look at it as if you were dating that person. Because what's the first thing you do? You go to dinner. When you go to dinner, what do? You break bread, people become at ease, they talk about themselves, they listen closely, and they see how people eat, what they like. You know, they become closer from that encounter. But she was saying that the sweet potato pie, I don't know the whole name of it, but that's part of it. She said what they do is they go in to, I guess they go in a house or a place where there's a kitchen. They bring law enforcement, community, and I think it was community law enforcement. Let's start with that. And then they create the ingredients for sweet potato pie because there are black people involved. Because she didn't know nothing about a sweet potato pie until she met black people. And she said they create the pie, and it's a whole coming together to create the pie. And after that, they give the pie to someone that's worthy of the pie. So
the people with the police make the pie together and stuff?
Right. It's kind of like bringing them together, creating the food. She never said that they sat down to eat it, but they give it to someone that's like, you know, you're deserving of this pie, this great sweet potato pie.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not asking.
I'm gonna tell you one thing that she said in the end of that meeting. She said, she brought up. She said, we want to know that you all know that we're white people in the abolishment, and white abolitionists. When she said that, everybody just went, huh? And some white people weren't digging it, but I thought she really was saying she's white and she's about abolishment of all garbage, BS. But I know what an abolitionist is. I know what a white abolitionist is. But I just never heard of that in context with what we're living today, how effective that is. But you know what it means, right? Then we had this discussion about that the other day.
Yeah, the guy that was running with her, Saul, is a abolitionist.
And in so many words, what does it mean?
Shit, they want to get rid of the police.
There it is.
They want to abolish the police department. Would you all consider the work you do? Would you consider yourselves abolitionists at all?
I would say that in my case in Louisiana, if you're going to be talking about abolition, you know, if you want to talk like that, you gotta kind of pull it back from the we're going to abolish the police today and take a look at what's happening in these prisons. Because down in Louisiana, we got a world-famous prison named Angola.
Of course.
Angola was basically the slaves. We brought them to Angola on the plantations. And to this day, we got black men in Angola under slavery.
It was the first prison farm.
Wow.
And they still growing crops on that farm. My uncle's in Angola. And if you're going to start talking about abolishing anything, abolishing slavery.
And it was the first. It was known for being very cruel. Actually, that's where the chain gang started out of Angola. Yeah.
Men, at times, some of the men there mutilated themselves in order to stop themselves from being able to work because they was forced slavery in Angola. So, you know, I consider myself as looking towards abolishing slavery. That's what we got to, because we still haven't abolished slavery yet. So let's start there. And then we can start making some steps forward in history. You got to understand where we're coming from before we start just, talking about slogans and whatnot. What's the actual conditions we're living under?
All right, Tony.
Yeah. What about you? In the work that you do?
Well, I look at it as there's that the police are just a part of a bigger system
Mhm.
of everything. And so to say you want to abolish just that one piece is not enough. You got to want to abolish like the whole system we're under, the system of capitalism that we're under
Mm.
is what's keeping us down. It's not just the police are one what we call one symptom of the
One cog in the wheel.
yeah. And so I mean, if you're talking about that, I mean, because if we're talking about that, it's also the system of education we're under, the system,
Man.
the system that economic system we're under that
Right.
keeps us down. Like everybody thinks capitalism is great, but it's not.
Right.
Like you can't.
Not when you're at the bottom of the
Yeah, you can't have so many people at the bottom and only a few people at the top, and those are the people controlling everything for everybody at the bottom. And so I see a world one day where we won't have police. I see a world one day where we'll have. I wouldn't say it's utopia, but I would say where people's needs are met. And right now, under this system, our needs aren't met.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
All right.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Excellent point.
Mm.
Excellent point. Well,
Oh, hello. We got another guy joining us.
Jacob from New York.
This guy from New York.
Hey, so we was doing. So right before you came in, the conversation was about white folks want to be abolitionists.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, man. So we got to get where you come from with it. So with the work you first of all, introduce yourself. Nobody want to be on camera, so we put the cameras on.
I'm Jacob. Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. New York.
Brooklyn in the house.
And yeah, I came out here with the National Alliance, and I'm with a few organizations, and yeah, we were supporting the whole campaign out here.
Okay.
It's, community control has always been a super important thing. Yeah, that's why I'm out here.
Okay. Man. So the question that was posed was, in the work that you do you consider yourself like an abolitionist or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think that, of course, I want abolition of prisons. I hate prison. I hate the police.
Okay.
Personally, but and I understand, I understand people who do want abolition of the police.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, as a communist, I think about, how can we change the role of the police in the system that criminalizes, a lot of people, Black people in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the only way to do that is community control. I want mandatory prisons, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I hate prisons. I think Rikers, for instance, in New York,
Mm-hmm.
most criminal place in the world.
Next to Angola, or greater than Angola?
Angola?
Yeah, Angola in New York.
No, in New Orleans.
He said it
No,
was
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Oh, you go. Angola been around since slavery. It was since the end of slavery. That's when it started. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you could go tit for tat for that.
Nah, yeah.
15 years in Leavenworth. The first time I ever went to jail.
Jesus
Never called
Christ.
anything, was never, he had never been arrested. And he lived in this small town called Susie Island and predominantly white. And he got kicked out on the conspiracy. So literally, 3 people, 1, 2, 3 said, you know what, I know he did this. And I sold it, but they all were criminals. And they had something to gain by saying he did this. He did 15 years, his first offense, and the maximum security.
Well, look at the young man.
15 years. He didn't get anything.
Look at the young man in Rikers that that's all he did was they claimed he shoplifted and he ended up dying.
Yeah.
He died.
They used to have, I mean, they still have it, the 1 to 99 year prison sentences.
Really?
Yeah, where it was basically, for small, obviously, for very small crimes.
Right. Now that was a tragedy in itself.
Yeah, and the mental health crisis in Rikers.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
The mental health crisis in Rikers too. It's obviously, especially for Black prisoners, it has to be changed. There's a lot of calls to end Rikers, but there's a lot of calls to build new prisons.
Right.
And so it's not building one prison for another prison. It's just tearing down the prison with other resources.
You know, it's good to hear that younger people look at a stop to everything. To when like from my era, we looked at change, but we never looked at a stop, because I guess we looked at a hard stop as it ain't gonna happen. So now, can we get some civil rights? And what does that mean? Well, that means we can at least drink at the water fountain, and we can at least go to the bathrooms, the same places, and we can at least get on the buses the same. But we never said stop the BS completely with all of it.
Yeah, because we're willing to accept a little just so we can have a little. And that's how people pass. Like, we need a little bit. We're like, no, it needs to be
Like they say, freedom ain't free. So what do you plan to do to pay for it?
That's dope though that all of y'all came from all of these different states to come to Chicago. So are y'all really like, our eyes on our race for district councils as it relates to policing like that?
Yes.
Wow.
We're definitely.
Wow.
We're getting close.
That's super dope, man.
Yeah, we're trying to do it.
That's super dope.
I mean, really consider it though. In 2020, we had the largest protest for Black people in the country's history. The most people came out for the first time. White people were out there in the streets too, burning stuff.
That's a fact,
Black
though.
lives. And then we waited. We waited like it's gonna change, it's gonna happen. And then time and time again, what people proposed didn't go through. But in Chicago, y'all making it happen. Things are changing, And so I didn't go out to those streets to just protest the protest. We actually want to see something.
Yeah, we wanted the facts, yeah.
And where we seeing changes, where we putting our hopes and dreams in. So
Man, listen. So I'm running for the district council too in the 15th district. That's just across the street over there. She's running for this over here. So y'all just fill me up with new life because listen, it's a long race.
Yeah.
But just knowing that, because obviously we know that we're a part of something. This is history in the making, literally. We're really going to be the first elected officials that have the ability to hold Chicago police accountable, and that isn't something like that isn't taking place in other parts of the country, and so it is amazing. And just hearing y'all talk about it from different states, man, like really re-energizes the need to really keep pushing and just finish this thing off, because we need good people too. I don't know if she told y'all, but the FOP, our FOP, which is one of the largest unions. Right now, the head of it is a person that you could definitely consider to be racist based off the comments he's made and other actions he's shown, including supporting the January 6th insurrection, stuff like that. And so he's back. They are backing candidates that are running for these positions. You have other interests like politicals, the elected officials. They're trying to get fake people in, so this could be a foot in the door in terms of politically and so there's a lot of people that are co-opting this to make it for themselves instead of it be about community.
They'll take something that's revolutionary and they'll just basically water it down.
Right.
There'll be the board, but it won't be with people who actually will uphold.
Right.
It's a race, and they call it a race not because it's already predetermined,
Hey.
Because we're making it different. We got an opportunity to win this,
Yeah.
It's not,
Get to your work. Do your work, man.
you gotta make it to the finish line, Get to the 28.
Yeah.
Tony said, look, I'm ready to be worked like a horse. She's like, I'm up here out work to no end.
Yeah.
Till the sun go down. And
That's crazy. Have y'all been able to work with any other candidates in different parts of the city?
I was here just the one. Well, I just got here yesterday.
Okay.
I'm leaving tomorrow. But
Okay.
just only with the adult.
Okay.
This has been, like you said, you're in it. I've been energized and ready to go back to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I saw.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Oh,
Same for you all. This is the first time y'all been over this way?
I've been over this way a couple of times. This is my first time being here since ECPS was passed.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's beautiful seeing it in action.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
what's
joy and pride as a Black person. You actually winning a fight.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
wars. We feel like
That's
it was
a good
effective,
thing.
so now.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You see that right there? Community organizing since 1972.
Oh.
Organized. organized.
We gotta be organized too.
Yeah.
No one's gonna, as you said, you know, it's like, they're gonna do everything to deny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta organize.
Yeah, gotta organize for sure. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
You gotta stand on the beliefs, that's the thing.
Right.
So, not just be like, okay, we know this is what y'all waiting on, but we gonna do it this way.
Right.
Or we gonna modify it this way, and then you look up, and it's the same old thing. We gotta make sure that don't happen.
Chicago's politics are probably one of the, what would you say? What's the word?
Most corrupt. Shit.
Besides-
That's the best word.
besides-
That's the best word for real.
Watch politics.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, for sure.
You know what they call Chicago, right? The name of the city, like everybody. You know why they call it the Windy City? Anybody.
Because of the politics.
There you go.
It's no secret, it's because of the politics. But-
And why? Because they say that there was politicians in yesteryear that they were big-winded and they spoke, long and lengthy about their politics. A lot of people think it's because of the weather, but
People were like literally trying to like not talk to us because they was like, oh, we got this politician. And we had to remind them that we're not politics. This should have been a community. This is a community legacy where us as a community have power. Again, power to the people. So I had told us like, look, you know how slaves was free and we really didn't know it as a gentility? It's kind of like this. Power has been given back to people, but we don't know it. So we educated, we get it out there, but people don't know that we have been in power with this new position, with this seat, to have accountability and have to say. So we had to give that information, like, oh, okay, maybe I can be outside, but even then, we are conditioned to not be like, oh, okay, we have power, we really do. We still don't believe it. It's kind of like slaves who were free, who was just like, I'm a slave, that's what I'm gonna do. And that's what we were seeing.
what's my next job?
Yeah.
Like, we were seeing a lot of it, like, no, like, really, this district council is us. We have a voice, we have a say for accountability. This is your voice, this is your seat. Go vote. Because if you don't vote, you don't have a seat. And that's just it for the 25. And that's the reality.
Yeah, for sure.
People still was like, no,
Well,
you don't need a project.
that speaks to a larger issue that Steve and I was talking about earlier, which is like when I was doing my filtration process, right, in regard of trying to target the best voters, right? You have 1,500 people live in a particular precinct. After you do that filtration process, you're left with anywhere between 420 and 460. That's literally nearly a fourth, maybe 27, 28%, which is in line with our voting totals here in the city of Chicago. We have early voting going on, so with mail-in ballots, there's the speculation that we'll get over about 40% for the first time in 10 years. What situations like going out and trying to actually get people to vote show is that we are so disenfranchised that even when we're supposed to get involved and we can elect officials and we could actually have decision makers that speak for us, we don't even want to get involved. And then it's those 27, 28% that are the haves in our community, because one of the things that people will always reference is that whatever particular alderman is in place, mayor, whomever it be, they're like, well, they don't talk to me. They ain't gave me nothing. But then you be like, bro, did you take part in the process though? You know what I'm saying? Are you one of those ones? And again, it's only 28, 27% of the people that do so. You know, and so that stuff is shown. It is shown itself time and time again as we've gone out there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true and unfortunate, but again, you go to other areas and they know different neighborhoods. They have educated themselves on it and they voted on it. Now, what way they decided to vote might not be in our favor, but they have that education, and unfortunately, we do not.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like we have to be willing to receive education.
Oh yeah.
So we have to be willing to say, you know what, is this knowledge is here? We have
Open
to
your mind.
Like we don't want to listen, don't want to be bothered. I don't want to hear it. It's kind of affects me too, because I also don't have someone tell me, you didn't come to my door. Then some people say, like, go to their door. Don't come to my door. I want to part of it.
Pick a side for real.
But yeah. But we gonna get out there, cause.
Got it. You
All
gotta
right.
put in the work, as DeAndre said.
Yeah, you gotta do the
We're
work.
gonna do the work.
I told her that.
Do the work.
I done told her, I done said that so much. That's all she be saying when she called me. See where you at? I'm doing my work. All right, that's it. Yeah.
Look, we can sleep with this over with. Right now we gotta work.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna take time. Oh, that's me with the thing. All right, well, so hey, y'all, before y'all wrap up, man, before y'all get ready to head out, hey, y'all gotta say something. I don't know what y'all gonna say because what we typically do is we go around the room and go with final words when we wrapping up the show and everything. But since y'all gotta leave a little early, man. Yeah, what's up, man? Whatever y'all want to say, man.
I'm gonna bring you power to the people. 1, 2, 3.
Power
Power
to
to
the
the
people.
people.
Power to the people, man. All power to the people because the power is where the people reside.
Woo, you better- Black History Year.
Yeah.
It's a great occasion when you can actually make Black History on Black History Month.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
When we
That's
talk
a
about
fact.
it in the future, they're gonna be like, this is the Black History.
That's a fact. Oh, that's a
We
fact.
just
Oh,
talked
wow.
about that.
Yeah.
How history
Wow.
is diminished because someone thinks that something preceded it or superseded it. I'm saying that it doesn't. The other history doesn't belong. Doesn't have a meaning anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
It all has. All history has meaning. Any questions? Anybody? Any people? Got any questions out there?
I want to ask y'all, y'all go around people, I went to one of DeAndre's events, meetings, and they went around, and most of the people that he asked them to give them a favorite Black history person, one of their favorite.
I said cool. I just said name a cool black person in history that's whatever that is.
I heard 2 people, and we have thousands and thousands.
Yeah, we
So
heard.
I like to get more, and I would like to, see what's out there.
Yeah, we heard Martin Luther King and Michael Jordan. Just overwhelmingly, everybody like
What did I tell you?
like 20 people.
What did I tell you? I told him today.
They stole
No, we got a local hero that was Miss Span's best friend, right on Monitor in the 1300s.
Miss Drummond,
Congressman
legend. We got the legend, Congressman Davis,
That's right. That's right.
U.S. Congressman Davis.
And
That's history right
how
there.
you doing, Congress?
Doing good.
Yeah.
All right.
We all right. We got a full contingency. We got New York, we got Minnesota, we got New Orleans, and they all here for the Police District Council.
Guess what? If this was a poker game, I'd say you had a full house. That's the way it looks. Please carry on.
All right.
Downstairs drinking wine. Having a little fun.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, Congress.
I did 5 churches today, so.
Oh, you did? Because I didn't get in.
You got to let me tell you something. Congressman Davis is a consummate campaigner. I've known him over 30 years. I have never seen him stop campaigning. So you got to keep up with him, Angela.
I'll be trying. You like, okay, catch me if you can.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, you got a couple of years on me. I don't know how I can get
It's
People been kind of, they getting interested right down to the wire. And I think it's going to be hard. A lot of folks claim they're confused because there are so many candidates running for mayor. And they don't understand this business to get into a runoff
Mm-hmm.
and then ultimately decided. And a number of people are saying that they are confused. And I'm a little
We were just talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
confused.
little surprised.
yeah.
Congressman, we were just talking about when you were saying how we are part of Black history. We're part of history right now. The district councils they came from New York, Minnesota, and New Orleans because they want to see how Illinois got this bill passed where the civilians have oversight, right? The district council. So you being a congressman and you pass bills all the time. This being a huge one. This history right now. You've been a part of several eras of history. So
Sure.
it has this is work for us and it's vibrant to us and it's motivating us and it's keeping the flame afloat. So
Well-
what are your take on this?
I will say right. He endorsed you and I, so he a part of history too. He's still making history back.
I was in New York last week. There are so many people in New York. I mean, it was on a Thursday when we got there. It took us an hour to go 3 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, people,
Oh yeah.
people everywhere. New York is a fascinating place.
Oh
Yeah, it is.
It really is. How do you get all?
I was in New York City one year. I literally counted 50 people on each corner every time the light changed. Every time the light would change, 50 people would switch corners.
But you ain't seen nothing. It used to be if you went to Harlem, where you would see people on soapboxes and standing up and making speeches and that kind of thing. I mean, it was any time that you went. I mean, it was like a festival kind of atmosphere. But it also, New York also founded clinics. I always say that New York and Massachusetts, two of the more progressive states in our country, and have been when it comes to social action and interaction. New York went broke one time because they were spending so much money on social services, social welfare, and so the Big Apple, they said they were doing that. And I always say that public health started in New York and in Massachusetts. The first public health stuff was in Massachusetts, way back in the 1800s.
Oh wow!
You know, I cut you off, Congressman. So, what was your thoughts about the district councils?
Oh, I think that it's evolution. I'm saying it doesn't go as far as I'd like to see.
I agree.
The building,
I agree.
oversight
I agree.
of police be, but it's coming. I'm saying you'll find and discover that very seldom do you get wholesale change at one time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you don't keep trying and keep pressing, but it's hard to give all at once. So I think this is a great step in the right direction. And then if it's implemented in terms of once it's established and people are doing it, and if the individuals who get elected don't let the brass and other people sway them the way when we created local school councils. What I had hoped local school councils would do. And then most of the principals and whoever kind of set the pace, and people kind of automatically follow. Most of the time. Every once in a while, it does not happen. But it's just so much easier. And then people say, well, let somebody else do the thinking, and we'll do the following.
You gave us a platform, not only did you endorse us, but you let us come on PNTV and get the information out. So as we name him, so many people still don't know about it. So we want to thank you again for letting us use your platform, endorsing us, supporting us, but just getting it out. Because like Arnold said, you send it to 25, you scratch your head. So many people are like, oh, I didn't know about this. So they're missing it, and they're missing an opportunity to vote and to be a part of something important. And not only that, put the right people in place.
You'd be shocked at the number of people who don't know that's the election.
Wow.
It's hard.
No.
It's hard to accept it. But they are. I mean, just don't know. They wasn't paying no attention. They just didn't care.
Yeah.
And they didn't know. And that's why we need civic engagement in our public school curriculum.
Year round.
If we value this business called democracy.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if we value democracy, we also have to pay for it. You know, Frederick Douglass often said that there was one thing he knew if he didn't know anything else. And that is, in this world, you may not get everything that you pay for, but you will most certainly pay for everything that you get. And so if you're not prepared to pay the price, then you're not going to have it. Meaning that we have to find a way to pay for what we value. And so we have to find a way, if we value democracy, to really pay to help people understand it. And that costs money.
Absolutely.
And some people don't like spending money. And my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they definitely don't like spending money.
They will
That's true.
But that's what they do. They want to keep it.
They don't want to use
They want to benefit from it. So that's the challenge. Paul?
We've got Reverend Jakes in the house. Reverend Paul Jakes. How you doing? We get ready to switch up and get up.
Yeah.
Reverend Jakes? Oh, okay.
It's 8 o'clock.
No. They got
working now. Yeah.
Yeah, they got.
They got flights. They got to drive back home.
Yeah, I love Minnesota. I always say that the cleanest big city in North America.
Next to Chicago.
No.
It
I'm talking
ain't no New York.
No, it's in Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. They heavily into environmental.
You want a picture?
Yeah.
In here, come on. Oh, you want to do it? All right, yeah. You know Captain Tute Pie? All right, y'all. It's getting hot in here. Hey, y'all didn't have any questions for the panel? So to say, hold on, I got to get more. There we go. There we go. Circulating a little bit. Oh man. Who we got out there? Anybody had any questions for our panel or congressman? Or now we got Reverend Paul Jakes coming in, and we're gonna engage a little bit longer for the second half of the show. Go ahead, y'all. What you say, Tiny? I think that's you.
Yeah, I would like to say something. You know, I came here and y'all been talking about black inventions.
Right.
Big fund of the league. We talk about education and reparations. We talk about the problem.
It's part of the problem, you said?
I said reparations will solve all.
Oh yeah, I hear what you said. You said it would solve all the problems. All right. Yeah.
It should be some kind of way we put back on the business that we created and get paid for that. Have it go.
You kind of breaking up there, Tiny. Tiny, you kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, now you're clear. Say again.
Okay. Again, if there was some kind of way that we could put a tax on all the inventions that black people made, because those people for making money off of our inventions, their children will never have to work. They got so much money they don't even have a name for.
Wow.
The police,
and the district council elections are just as important as the mayoral election
Go ahead.
and the aldermanic elections And I tell you, in District 25, and
Y'all hear it then.
is running for the district council.
And
I'm asking all of my friends, anybody that I know that live in that area, to please make sure that you vote for Angelica Green for the district council. She will
Hold
represent
on.
you well.
That's Congressman. Can y'all see him?
I know.
You wish I was living in Chicago.
Oh yeah, let's do it by the side here. Hey, yeah. You want to do it by the side right here, or which one?
Ignore it, doesn't matter. Let's see.
We just taking a quick intermission. We gotta get our business fixed with the congressman, y'all. So apologize, y'all.
All right, what you got?
Which way you want to go? Here, whatever.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, well they already lined up over there.
All right, everybody there?
I'm gonna get it.
Y'all get in?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see. Where am I? Am I in there?
Yeah, you in.
I like
Now
what
share
we're
it.
doing.
I'll share it with everybody. One more time, everybody. There you go. Good.
All right. Activism and
That is best.
So plug in.
Oh yeah. He already in there.
All right, nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you.
All right, see y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Peace.
Really?
All right. Let me send this over to DeAndre.
All right, y'all.
Oh yeah, we got it.
Back. All right, so Ella, that was something you had wanted to pose.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the comment regarding Alice and how he left Chicago, Philadelphia, and Louisiana educational system is such a mess. And I do remember him leaving Chicago, but I don't know the particulars of what happened. But why isn't this brought up in those debates with the other? Don't they know about it? Why did they bring it up? And if the other people know, and he's not alive with candidate because he left such a mess.
Oh no, it comes up. It's come up in every forum, but he coolly keeps on message. He doesn't take the bait. He is not taking the bait. I've been at the forums. They bring it up. They say, yeah, just like he messed up New Orleans. He get up. Let me tell you guys something. Transit here in Chicago is worse, and he go right into it. He don't even eat. The man has not even given any attention to any criticism. So that's how he's been able to do it.
He stays on task.
Stay on task.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that the task that he's doing is the right one, but he's staying on some kind of task, obviously. Yes, indeed. But who else is what else you gonna say? You had any other comments? Because we're about to go into the second half of the show, and we want to touch on some other things. One of them being health, mental health, and people dying. How do we all work to understand, to safeguard ourselves, to help each other, to help one another, to help our families when it comes to health, mental health, and death. And the reason I say I'll say death because a good friend of mine passed away Friday. I've known him since I probably was 12, 13 years old. I've known their family. Went to school, high school with them. The mom worked at our high school. Our families were very close families together. But he passed away from cancer Friday, and it's a thing where people, when they find out they have certain ailments or illnesses, they change their whole function of how they interact with everyone. And it's sometimes very hard to cope with, and it's your family or there's someone very close to you to understand what they're going through and how they should act and interact. And I've noticed in a couple occasions, there was a man back, this is over 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, a man named Mr. Punches. This is out of an organization that, the deceased Butch Campbell started back in '95, called the Brotherhood of Black Men. And the Brotherhood of Black Men was obviously a group of black men that came together to fellowship and do things in the community. But there was one guy that, when we first started out, his name was Mr. Punches. We started out on the right track, and everybody was working together and everything, and then all of a sudden Mr. Punches was missing. We had a rally one time right in the corner of Central and North Avenue. There used to be a 7-Eleven there before they built the Walgreens. And we were out there at this rally, and then we saw Mr. Punches in the corner in his car, and he just waved, hey, we're over here. And he just kept going, and he didn't stop. So we couldn't understand what was going on. Why didn't he stop? Why didn't he come and join us? He knew we were having a rally. And then a day later, we found out Mr. Punches passed away. And it was some type of terminal ailment, I guess, because I can't remember if it was heart attack or no, it wasn't heart attack. It wasn't. It was something that, because we found out later that they knew he was dying, but he just withdrew so quickly from everyone, and we just didn't understand it at the time. At least I didn't understand it at the time. I was probably barely 30 years old, I think, at the time, and I just didn't understand why he disengaged so quickly. But we ended up going to his funeral, which was out in Matson, Illinois. For those that don't know where Matson is, very small town. And I literally thought I walked into a Western town because they didn't have sidewalks. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I think they had, I want to say they had like wooden sidewalks, like porch sites, you would walk up on the porch and then you would walk into the funeral home, at ground level. But nevertheless, one of our organizers and myself, we went out to Mass to the funeral body. But I'm saying all of this because many of us, we don't know how to deal with, death in our communities, and it leads to other issues that bring out mental health issues, and then obviously mental health can lead to physical health. And I know that there are many of us that probably have had these instances or situations, but we need to talk about how do we deal with these things. How do we deal with that with our friends and family?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? They had wooden siding.
Oh, it was like 30 years ago. It surprised me how you do it. It really surprised me because I was like, I don't understand. What kind of town is this? When they got they don't have a sidewalk.
Well, Matson now is very different than that. I can tell you.
Yeah.
One of the nicest places to live in Cook County.
Really?
Oh yes, South suburban Cook County. Other than a few, there are some places, and like Phoenix, but by and large, if I didn't live on the west side of Chicago and was looking for some place to live, it might be South suburban Cook County. Of course, I would never leave the west side of Chicago. Take me in a pan box. That's, hey, that's just a reality of man. But I'm saying there are a lot of interesting places
right
in this country, but it all depends on what one wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying life is so valuable, so important until you try to make the most out of every single minute that you got.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Mhm.
mean, that's why I use this little thing that Dr. Mays used to always say when he got ready to give a speech. Life is but a minute, just 60 seconds in it, forced upon us. We didn't seek it and we didn't choose it. We suffer if we abuse it. Just a tiny minute, but eternity is in it. All those little things really matter if people subscribe to them and try to live by them. And I guess that's why I like the spoken written word.
Mhm.
You know, I thought of the guy who wrote the stuff, let me live in the house by the side of the road, where the race of men go by. Men who are good, men who are bad, wise and foolish, but then so am I. So why would I sit in the scorner's seat or hurl the cynic's ban? Just let me live in my house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. Well, you know, there are so many things. I see some people who are so negative about everything.
Yeah.
I don't allow myself to be negative except for maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm.
Then I'll catch myself and say, oh, no, hell no. I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, it's tough. The world is bad. There's some bad people, but you know what? There are more good people than there are bad people.
Yeah.
There are more honest people than there are dishonest people. There are more caring people than there are people who don't care. And I think all of that helps to make the world a better place in which to live.
I used to always say there has to be more good in the world than there's evil. Because if there were more evil, the world would literally implode upon itself. If there were.
It's pretty tough. I mean, there's some bad people. I remember I was trying to help somebody who was in the penitentiary, and the prison official says, Mr. Davis, said the best we can do for this gentleman is let him watch his mother's funeral on video.
Mm.
And then we'll have to have somebody in the room with it. And they say those, they're tough people. So all I could say was, yes, well, thank you very much. I appreciate
it. So anybody got any response to what I said about how we deal with death? What do we do when loved ones and friends pass? And are we prepared for these things? Because in some cases, it leads to a lot of problems, mental health, physical health, of the others that are still, surviving.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I mean, there's a song that guys, when I was a kid, they made this song. It says, I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when that hearse came calling to take my mother away. I said to that undertaker driver, please drive very slow, because the lady that you are carrying, I sure, Lord, hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken? In the sky, Lord, in the sky. But there's a better home awaited by and by. By and by.
I had there's a woman that lived in Austin that actually started to create children's books during the pandemic that explained to the young children, like around 4 or 5 years old, some of the circumstances of life. So She wrote one that helped children to understand what was happening during the 2020 pandemic. She also helped children to understand about death.
Mhm.
And in 2022, she talked about like the aftermath of COVID. So she created children's books to help just children again cope with these things that happen in life. She also put taxes in there too, so they can learn at a young age. I say all that to say that she was at one of these pop-up spots that they have in the community. I actually bought 3 of her books for my baby. You know what I mean? So that as I read to her, she could start to learn about some of those things at a young age too. Because I mean, you know, that's part of it is, you know, having to educate people on exactly what that is, you know.
Well, it's not something I think you will ever get. Sometimes it feels good to feel sad. I'm saying, there's so many emotions. You know, I sometimes will find myself just thinking about people like my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and I will feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
I may even have a tear or two, but I'm not really remorseful. I'm saying the emotion is meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
and this may pass on after 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, and then I will regain composure, and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes just thinking, I have had so many people who had positive impact on my being
Mm-hmm.
until I just can't measure them all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I can think of teachers,
Mm-hmm.
I can think of relatives, I can think of Sunday school teachers, I can think of, I had an aunt and uncle who lived in the town where the college was that I went to on the graduate school. If they had not lived in that town and I was able to live with them the first 2 years that I was there, I don't know if I would have been able to go to college.
Mhm.
And so I used to jokingly say when I was going to visit the town where they lived, that when I got about 50 miles away, my car couldn't go fast enough to try to get to their house because I had so much feeling of thanksgiving to them because they took me in and let me live in their home.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to pay no rent. And if I had to pay rent, I probably wouldn't have been able to make it. And so Uncle Bob and Aunt Mary, they were like my surrogate parents. And Aunt Mary was my father's sister, and Uncle Bob was her husband. And he was just a wonderful guy. Not only did they help me, but they helped all kinds of other young people then. And they just opened their home to young people who would come to that town and live with them until they could get a job or make enough money to leave, make enough money to live. So all the while I was in college, I went to church almost every Sunday. But I'd go out and go to church with them and stay the weekend and eat good. and so, but there were just so many of those people. The churches used to see, not many kids would be going to college during my time. When in little towns like I came, not very few. And the churches might take up a collection if somebody was going to go to college.
Mm.
They just take up an offering form. And it probably wouldn't be too much because people wouldn't have too much. But my God, if it was $50 or $60,
And whatever was everything.
oh my goodness, you know, you'd feel. And so even if you wasn't all that Christian, you wasn't into religion, you got religion.
Real
They
quick.
lay that $50 on you. You start saying, have not good religion, certainly law, certainly. So all of these things are so relevant. And so Black history
Mhm.
is an articulation and an understanding of what people did to help each other get over. And how proud people would be if somebody in their circle, like my brothers just joke and tell me, Dad was talking to his friend and he'd say, well, I gotta go down here to the post office and send that boy of mine some money. And so when I come home, they think I had some money. And I said, look, Dad was bragging. He's just talking smack. But his friends, he ain't sent me no money. Because he had no money to send me.
Right.
And so he just talking to his buddies. Like, yo, I gotta go.
So you got to talk big with your guys.
Yeah. I gotta go send you some money I play. I never got it. But I understood it.
Right.
I'm saying wolf chicken something.
Front, we call it cap.
Oh yeah, nowadays that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a caller. Who we got there? Oh, hey, Miss Cora, how you doing?
Hey, Mama Cora.
All right, all right. We just here with Reverend Paul Jakes and Congressman Danny K. Davis on this Sunday evening, doing what we do. West Side, we talk about West Side things right here on the West Side, and we were just go on. We're gonna say again.
It's always great when your country is better in town.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got it. Oh, you did you hear the topic that we were just kind of touching on, which was people passing our families or close friends. You know, how do we deal with it? What do we do to support each other and obviously our families? And are we prepared in those situations? Because sometimes our health and our mental health tends to take a different direction when those things happen.
Yeah. It happens
Yeah,
in many different ways.
yeah, we do, you know. But I guess the biggest question is being prepared. How do we prepare? You know, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially.
Financially first.
Mm.
Well, you know, unfortunately, many people do not have insurance. Never does a week go by that somebody don't come by my office asking for a contribution to help bury someone who died and had no insurance. And I feel so bad because people need to at least get themselves enough insurance where they could be buried when they die, and not put a burden on their families. But there are a lot of young people in particular who have no burial insurance at all. And we need to try to help them understand that they ought to at least get enough insurance where they could be buried if they should die.
Yeah.
And more young people are dying and need to be buried and not put a burden on their family when they do.
Right. How?
You all have to keep this following, please. We don't hear what the congressman is saying.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think it's might be.
Yeah, I was just talking about burial insurance and how unfortunate it is that many people die in our community who can't be buried. And I've known people to lay at the morgue and sometimes for weeks and weeks before they can figure out how to get them buried. Or and they end up doing cremations because cremations don't cost as much as a regular funeral and all of the other preparations that go along with that.
I think so speaking of cremation, I prefer to be cremated. I don't want to get buried. You know? Because at the end of the day, I got insurance though. I'm gonna put that out there first. I got insurance. I got you're gonna make sure that the burden won't fall on my siblings or my parents. But I actually want to be cremated because it's just, I don't care for burial. In fact, personally, I won't be here anyway. Do whatever you will with the body, man. I'm a donor and everything, So
you said you don't care.
Yeah.
So we can have a barbecue party with you. Huh?
Hey, man, listen, man. Whatever y'all want to do, man. Whatever y'all do, my energy won't be here anymore. I guess it's just gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah, there are people who have that attitude, and that's perfectly. And see, that's the good thing about our country is that we are taught that each person has the right to think as they think, to act as they act, as long as they're not harming or infringing upon anybody else. And then to carry out, I had a friend of mine, a fellow named Nate Benson, who's a dear friend of mine. And of course, Nate had said when he knew he was going to die, that he didn't want no funeral, he didn't want no memorial service, he didn't want nothing. And he was funny, he said, I don't want nobody standing up lying over me. So he did die. And he gave me all of his cowboy movies. He liked watching cowboys. And we used to watch movies sometimes together. And my wife said, no, you ain't gonna watch. Why you bring that? Cluttering up the house more than it already is. But then I said to Nate's brother, I said, well, Nate said he didn't. He said, I know he thinks he didn't want nothing. I said, we ought to have something. He said, well, look, if you want to have something, go ahead and have it. And I don't know if he gonna know about it anyway, because I ain't gonna tell him. He said, and of course we did have a memorial service for him. We had a little
That's been a while ago. That's like 2013.
It's been a little while. I don't know if it was that long, but it may have been.
Yeah. It was right after they opened that Center Space.
Oh,
Because remember, he was there when it opened.
yeah.
It was a little after that.
Well, we had a lot of fun and traveled a lot of places all over the country. Nate used to like to drive. I never have liked to drive. And so he used to go with me to places all over the country.
Mm.
And sometimes if it wasn't too far, we would jump in the car and drive all over Illinois. We had the black elected officials during that period, and we would have meetings in Rockford and Peoria,
Mm-hmm.
East St. Louis, and Danville. Wherever there were black folks,
Right.
we would go.
So what we got Reverend Paul Jakes in the studio today. He's being very quiet. I don't know why. But I know he got some projects that he's working on. And I don't know if you want to talk about your projects.
Oh, definitely. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I certainly want to get the word out that there are a few actual meetings that I think that people would be interested in. The first meeting is the State of the District Town Hall meeting for the clergy. And that is going to be at the Inspirational Deliverance Center, Church of God in Christ at 647 North Parkside at 9 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday. That's Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. And for more information, you can call Congressman's office at 773-533-7520. And then on the very next day, the 23rd, at 5200 West on Jackson, will be a meeting from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Friendship Baptist Church. That's where Reverend Pastor Dacus is the pastor. There will be a town hall meeting there for the community. And we will be discussing some very important issues such as the future of Social Security, what's happening with Internal Revenue Services, the issues with the Postal Service, scholarship opportunities through the Black Caucus and DePaul University, the youth violence that's going on, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and can Congress pass that particular act, and also Medicare and Medicaid. So all of this would be at the Inspirational Deliverance, that will be at the Friendship Baptist Church at 5200 West on Jackson from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. That Thursday. So we encourage everyone to be a part of that and to come and be informed.
That's right. Show up and show out, y'all. Show up.
Can I say something, Steve?
Sure. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I don't see how I could raise my hand on the swing I have. But when we were talking about death, about maybe 3 weeks ago, my brother-in-law died. He was 80. The next day, my wife's brother died.
Wow.
And then the next day, my son's stepbrother died. And then Venus' cousin's son got killed.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, all of this death. And like when death happens, it ain't nothing you can do.
Yeah.
The people always say it's anything I can do, let me know. But it's nothing you can do with death. And I thought about how young people really don't value life. I think the older you get, the more you appreciate life. You know? And like we were talking about what happens when people die. When my father died, we found out that he didn't have any insurance. And we were saying, what are we going to do? And he said, it's up to y'all. You know? He didn't get nothing out.
Wow.
And so like that is really that we just have to accept.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's nothing we can do. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
it
Steve,
time?
I'd like to say something here.
Sure, sure.
Can you hear me?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so touching on the subject of death, life insurance, well, on the death side, as we all know, it's a part of this journey. And, death comes along with many different emotions, being depressed, stress, anxiety, frustration, not knowing what to do next. And, the question really stems around what is to help for those who are going through the journey, who's been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. When you take someone who's been diagnosed with cancer, and they're given that last 6 to 12 months to live, that is a journey that none of us will know, not unless we're in those shoes. And sometimes those individuals will completely isolate you. You might have some that will reach out. So the question, for many of us is that how do we cross over to help that person who's completely shut down? There's nothing that we can do regarding the illness.
Right.
But what can we do for that person to give them that love in that last 6 months, that last 3 months, that, give the person can get a year to live, or 6 months, or 2 months, or 30 days to live.
Might I chime in?
Sure. Go ahead, Reverend.
One of the things that I have been able to absorb from chaplaincy training programs and also programs dealing with hospice care is that you don't have to go it alone. There are so many services that are out there, like Vitas and other programs that have people that will come actually into the home or will actually meet you at a hospice facility, and they are trained. I had an opportunity while doing my internship to work with a mother who was 29 years old. I won't say her name. She had 4 children, and all she wanted for her children at Christmas time was for them to receive gifts from Santa Claus. Now, that meant that I had to, as a pastor, get out of my suit and tie and shirt and put on a Santa Claus suit and long beard. And I actually was able to collect over $1,000 and toys. And I went to the house where she and her children were and her father. I was able to give to them the $1,000, the gifts, the candy, and she was not a woman of faith. She did not have religion, didn't want any religion. But all she wanted was her kids to have that time, and she received more from this minister, not saying I was a minister, but dressing up as a Santa Claus in order to touch her where she was. So I think we need to listen to the people that are going through, that we need to help them to be vulnerable, to be able to say what they really need, to take off the masks, and to really just be who they are. And if they're broken, say I'm broken. If I'm hurt, say I'm hurt. If they need the support, say that I need it. And that is the best avenue I feel that we can do, is to give to them as they desire and as we hear them. And so those are some of the things that I learned on my journey.
Wow. Wow. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Alicia?
Well, you know, when you're, death is, there's death all around. There's the death of a career, a death of a relationship, and so those things too, maybe not, you know, two for two, but sometimes those things too, to deal with the death of a career, the death of a relationship. And then in this world, when we come in, we get attached to many things. And at some point in our lives, we all have to realize those attachments, we're going to have to release those attachments because nothing lasts forever. And then on the scope of life insurance, well, you know, the first thing with life insurance is that, you know, folks have to get over the fear. And they have to understand it. And perhaps maybe many African Americans don't understand. Maybe it's not many, but you know, there's a percentage of African Americans who don't understand the insurance industry. And perhaps they just have a problem. They haven't been educated on how to understand and the significance of having insurance. Insurance is just not about laying someone to rest. You know, as many wealthy folks that's not African Americans will all know, this country is founded on a lot of life insurance. So the first thing is the person has to understand it, has to understand the primary purpose of having it. For some, it might just be laying someone to rest. But for many, it's more than just laying someone to rest. So that's the education component, and as we know, education is the number one thing for anything in the community. So when you're reading, you know, perhaps try to understand it or work with someone that's educated, you know, you want the importance of having those tools in place because there are a lot of things in the community, a lot of resources that are available, and that folks can go and get educated on different things so they can have a better understanding. Because the most important thing is just having the education as Pastor said, you know, finding those resources or perhaps if you know the resources, share those resources with the person who's going through an illness who's shutting down, or even with family members, because sometimes family members, they need training. They need training on how to deal with someone who's in that position. They need training and education on the whole spectrum, from leaving this world to coming into this world, for planning for the unprepared, and for planning for leaving this world a better place than when you came into it.
You know, I find that there's denial on both sides, not only just denial with the person who is starting to pass away, but also the family. Many times, many families are not willing to even put a person in hospice, and that's because of denial. And there's another element that follows, and that is anger. There's some families that have so much anger, not toward the doctor, not toward the nurse, but to each other. And so one of the phrases that Reverend Jesse Jackson used to use often, he said, we need to learn how to turn to each other and not on each other. And so once we can find the avenue, the opportunity to love on each other, even in the worst situations, we will find that we then have this understanding that we as a family should never allow temporary situations to have a permanent effect upon your destiny.
Say it again.
Never allow temporary situations to have a permanent effect upon your destiny.
Right. Don't get stuck in the mud.
Like that.
Don't get stuck in the mud. Yeah. So anybody else have any comments, questions, or suggestions? You got any more topics? We'll move on to another topic, DeAndre. We got about
No,
10 more minutes, 15 more minutes.
probably about 10. Yeah. I just wanted to piggyback off of the idea of the insurance. So myself, like I said, I got insurance, but I got insurance that will be useful for paying for my daughter's college. You know what I mean? Like I took out a lot. Yeah. Oh no. We weren't playing no games. I probably got $500,000 policy.
There's legacies and
Oh, yeah.
be tied to.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no, we ain't playing no games. We got that, and then once we really start making money, we gonna bankroll it the way the white folks do, and utilize our insurance, so it can be an investment vehicle, so that we can borrow against it. Now that's gonna take a lot of money though. Them $1 million policies, that usually take $1 million, but that's how they do it though. So, we on that type of time for sure.
Well, that's real good to hear, and it does take a lot of money. You just gotta know how to utilize the tools that you'll receive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about using your life insurance as a way to accumulate so you can borrow from it,
Mm-hmm.
when you start early, that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
When you start later, the price is a little higher. But when you start early, you just gotta be willing to look at it for what it will be in the future.
Right.
Because anything that you put into today, it might seem like a lot, but 10, 15, 20 years down the road, what you put into it will amount to a lot. But the commitment, just like when you have your house, you pay that mortgage every month, every year. And at some point, it's going to have some equity in it. At some point, you might sell it, or you might pass it on. Kind of similar.
Yeah.
When you have that life insurance, you're going to do certain things, but it's good that you have a mindset to say, hey, I'm going to take this to the next level so that I can make it into something much greater and do what others have done. It is not complicated. It is not complicated. You just got to have that personal commitment to take it to the next step and just think about it like this. It's a seed that you sow today for delayed gratification in the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
This is delayed gratification.
oh no, most definitely. You learn that, especially when you go to college. That's what that's all about. I also said that I've been investing in the stock market since 2013 though, and I say that because part of what we're going to be doing, I believe we're going to be doing the next month, is we're going to have a bunch of different people come in and talk about some of these things, these tools, whether it's investing, whether it's looking at getting your credit the right way, whether it's using insurance as an investment vehicle, a bunch of different, a whole host of things as it relates to trying to get your financial house in order, because that is one of the major issues that we face as a community in general. Like, we're big consumers. We spend a lot of money on a lot of things that we really don't need to get a lot of other people rich, and we've been perpetuating that cycle for so long that it's actually getting tiring. And we really need to wake up. And the younger, going back to the younger you are when you purchase insurance, the younger you are when you start to get financially aware, makes it much better for you as you progress in life. And like one of the things my brother talk about a lot is the 10% rule, where you pay yourself. You know what I mean? That's one thing that we don't get into a lot, is that, we work for these organizations that pay us whatever, but we never pay the person that's actually producing that work for them, which is ourselves. And so it's incumbent on us to make sure that while we getting the paycheck, we actually paying the person that's actually making the work happen, which is us up front. And when you do that, you take 10% of whatever your paycheck is, you got enough for your investment, for your insurance, and for whatever else you want to use as a tool that can help set you up so that you can be financially independent at a later stage in the game, because that's one of the things that challenges us constantly. We get to retirement age, then we quasi-retire because we can't afford nothing. We don't have nothing. And I would love to be able to retire and actually retire, and be a person that could just be, somebody that can give advice or mentorship, somebody that's coming up. That's what retirement should really look like. And if you can get paid a few dollars to do that, maybe some speeches or something, that's cool. But having to work, like do real work at a retirement age, nah, that shouldn't be.
One of the things that my namesake, Bishop T. Jakes, was saying to us at a pastors' conference in Florida, he says that how can you really run a business if you don't have a home and take care of your home? And so the encouragement was to make sure that African Americans get into home ownership, because what is happening is we're paying just as much money paying rent as we could pay on a home and be able to reap the benefits from it. So we often talk about the 40 acres of mule. Let's right now take opportunity, and I think that one of the things that I'm going to be suggesting to the faith community is that we actually have a faith-based workshop, and we have people to come in. And when I say faith-based, I'm not excluding organizations or individuals. Everyone can come to it, but the goal is to set it up where people can come in and get the information, and also banks as well. So we're going there. Those are some of the things I'm making suggestions to the congressmen that we do, and I believe that you'll see it benefiting, especially the people in the Southern Congressional District.
Yeah, need that for sure. Yeah. Speaking of home ownership, that's one of the things that I'm getting into. I'm trying to purchase, but I will be purchasing my first home this year, because that's important. When we try to talk about setting ourselves up for success, like in today's age, you start a home-based business. You get a home, start a home-based business, and you get your tax reductions and everything, man. And it's like, we gotta understand how to get ahead. We gotta understand the money game.
Lining your ducks up.
Yeah. So no, that's one thing that I'm being very intentional about, trying to secure a home for my family, but also again, so we can start to really benefit from the economics that come with it. For sure. So that's probably, and I mean that's something that we've done here in the past too, in regard of trying to help homeowners. In fact, Steve, he got his first home through this organization here.
My first property. Yeah. Northwest Austin Council. Direct sales first-time home buyers program. They were trying to what DeAndre calls re-gentrification,
man.
Where you bring back those that were already here, making them plant their stakes in the ground to where they should have been and never left. And me and my wife did that some 30-some years ago. And here we are. We still, with our kids, want to be thoroughly involved in Austin.
The right way.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So we getting ready to wind down. We like to go around the room and get final thoughts from everybody. So I will start over with Zoom, and I'll go with Ella.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, what's up, Ella?
Oh, that's enjoying tonight's conversation. It's really good.
Where you at? Why you been downstairs stepping? Oh, I'm sorry you there. You all right, man?
It was amazing with cataract.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I got you. We got you. I got to come check on you. I didn't know. All right.
I'm okay.
All right, Ella, thank you. Tiny. Tiny.
Yeah.
Alan Evans.
Radio.
Hey, Tiny.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
There you
we
go.
can.
We hear you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I would first like to say, God bless you, Rev Jakes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, because I needed another $2 because I gave it away.
Don't get it away.
No, I had to help the young brother.
The last $2 gone.
Okay, well, don't worry, guys.
Okay.
But I went with Rev Jakes and Sister Lee to the Holocaust Museum.
Mm.
And I asked John Davis, how did you do it? How come we asked about Holocaust, everybody raised their hand, but if you ask them about the Chicago Freedom Movement, very few people know about it. And the people who know about it, they know about Dr. King, but they don't know that none of that would happen if they had And so John Davis and the Jewish guy said that you have to tell the story. That's what the Jews do tell and what they have. They always tell the story. And the black people, we don't tell our story. Our kids don't know what we went through. We don't talk about slavery. We don't talk about picking cotton. And most of the people in Chicago came from the South. So we never talk about it. We need to tell our story.
Right.
And and I want to invite people, February 26th, where we're going to have our first event celebrating the unsung heroes of the Chicago Freedom Movement, namely Al Ray.
That's right. That's right, Tom.
Right. And then I was thinking, you know, like, the white man has destroyed our family by taking away the black man, making a divide between him and the black woman. And now they're trying to take the children away from us. And we don't talk positive about our children. And when I think about my life and stuff I did, and what changed me was people believed in me. You know, and it means a lot to tell a young person you're gonna make.
Oh yeah, do.
You know, and so we need to do more of that.
Yeah. Thanks, Tiny.
Appreciate that.
Nash.
Leash.
Yeah, thanks for having this meeting. This is well, your session. This is my first time coming on. I had heard about it before, and I would just say, you know, for those who are on the call and those who are listening, just continue to do what you all do, teaching, reaching out to the community, supporting the local organizations, and definitely showing up. You know, showing up to the local churches that are putting together different forums for the community, telling your friends and family about the forums that are coming up. Because if we're not supporting our own, then how can it continue to be what it should be? So we got to keep letting everybody know. And definitely the upcoming event, as Pastor mentioned, I'll definitely look at that event, and I will definitely hop on you all your next Zoom session and hear what you're talking about and thanks for what you bring to the community.
All right, now. I appreciate that. Looking forward to having you again.
Thank you.
Ms. Jacobs.
Edie Jacobs.
Ms. Jacobs, still up? Ms. Jacobs, please. Mama Cora,
Yeah, baby.
what's your final thoughts?
Well, I am so happy that we had this discussion tonight. It has been so educating on us, but we have to tell our story. As the gentleman said a little earlier, I was speaking to an 83-year-old tonight who did not know that her ancestors came to Africa.
Oh, wow.
I said, you know, that her grandkids probably don't know, her children probably don't know, their grandkids don't know. So we have to tell our story.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to tell the story.
Wow. Congressman?
I think it's all been said. If we tell the story, then people know. But you know, it also means sacrifice. I visited a Jewish synagogue and spoke to them there. And the children had to stay for the first half. And we were talking some of everything. And then up to age 12. And then they were allowed to go play and do other stuff. And then the older children had to stay for the whole thing. And this was right here in Oak Park, Illinois. And so I'm saying things require a lot of discipline, and they require time. And if we aren't willing to take the time and have the discipline, then we just won't devote time allocation in a certain kind of way. And
Properly.
you know, I noticed somebody might be making a speech and people want them to say what they got to say in a minute. And everybody's in a hurry. And let me tell you, when I wrote my dissertation, I had to stay up all night. I sure did. So 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, they go try to catch a couple of hours of sleep. There's a saying that I sometimes use, that the great men and women that we emulate did not become who they are by instant flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards into the night. That people who are successful are not necessarily always the smartest people in the world. They're not always the swiftest people, but they are oftentimes the people who make the sacrifice in order to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. And if you're not prepared, he or she who sacrifices much attains much. He or she who sacrifices little accomplishes little. So if you're not prepared to sacrifice, then the accomplishments will probably not come.
True indeed. Steve?
Oh, I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the show. Congressman Davis, Reverend Paul Jakes, the delegation that actually helped you for ECPS, Empowering Communities for Public Safety, which came from New York City, New Orleans, and Minnesota. They were in the studio tonight. I want to thank everybody on our viewing and listening channels, Zoom, StreamYard, YouTube, and Facebook. And last but not least, I would say Jakes, but you go ahead.
Everybody stepped up. All right, y'all know we do this thing every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. There's various ways you can interact with the show. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Zoom. You choose the viewing option that works best for you. I just want to say we got history to be made. Black history is really taking place in the city of Chicago, February 28th. We can vote to hold the Chicago police accountable. Yes, as Congressman said, we got a little bit of power, but at the end of the day, it is a start. And so long as we do what we're supposed to do and elect the right individuals to make this thing grow, we're going to really make it happen. So the foundation will be set February 28th for the first time. And I mean, just of utmost importance is just the election in general, man. You know, we sit here in the 29th ward, but there's a major
automatic
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to call. I was gonna say award, but that's too much. Battle, I think that's too much. But anyway, there's options. We have options. We have really good options, and we also have options for mayor. And man, like there are some huge opportunities in front of us that come with those options. So we just asking for y'all to choose the best option, the best people, and let's get the best everything on February 28th and really make history for not only the city but for our community. You know, and so with that being said, check out your ballots, check out the people that's running for office, and make sure you vote.
Right.
We got one more coming for you before that day comes, and we're gonna remind you one more again. That being said, listen, we have open seats at the table. We always trying to welcome y'all home. Thank y'all for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council.
So,
Have a good night.
good night, all. We'll get down to this. All right, y'all. Take it easy. No, it's not your keys, son.